Celtics Talk Podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com. New England gets more at 24.
What's up, everybody? What's up, Giles?
How you doing?
I might be. You barely sat down, and I'm like screaming in the microphone already.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
You're
happens.
excited to talk about that win.
Well, that's what happens when the Boston Celtics defeat the Los Angeles Clippers 121-118. A game that was not close in the least.
Yeah. I honestly I can't believe we're potting right now. I would think that we'd probably be starting the post-game show after like an overtime or double overtime game, because that look that James Harden got off that phenomenally drawn-up play with 1.6 seconds left and no timeouts.
Yeah.
He made absolutely everything down the stretch except for that shot.
So if you were watching football and you just kind of, I don't know, you're trying to figure out what happened in the Celtics game, built a big lead, 24 points. Starters were awesome. Bench wasn't as good, and James Harden was very good in the second half. And they just would not go away because of Harden. What was the stat, Abby said? 9 points in 19 seconds?
Yeah.
Something like that. And to the point where Payton Pritchard hit the free throws right to put him up at the end. And they throw Chris Dunn, I think, threw a full-length pass to Zubac, who then, feeds it to a streaking Harden for as clean of a look as he had seen in the second half.
That was unbelievable.
And 1.8 on the clock, but could not make the shot. Payton Pritchard and Jordan Walsh both in pursuit, and the Celtics win it. I've got a million different directions I can go tonight. I'm going to try to start with the positive. It's after a win. Jaylen Brown was phenomenal. Payton Pritchard and Derek White, maybe those, I don't want to jinx it too much, but maybe those slumps are over. Where do you want to go? What's your headline tonight? And we can start with some of the weaker areas, or we can bring it full circle. Whatever you want to do. I'm going to zig wherever you zag.
Celtics survive.
Ooh.
Celtics survive in a clutch game, because this team has struggled in these clutch games, and they, even though it didn't necessarily feel like it, they did execute down the stretch. Mm-hmm. I guess you could say
Harden just made ridiculous shots.
He made ridiculous shot after ridiculous shot, and the Celtics had to make their free throws. They did. They had to inbound the ball, couldn't turn it over. They did. Yet the Clippers still somehow had an opportunity. So for them to survive this game, I thought was huge, because again, this was the way it was trending, the way the Clippers just wouldn't go away. And I know that the bench might be culpable in part of that. They might be responsible for that, some of that. Yeah.
We'll get to it.
The fact that they were able to just make the plays that they needed to down the stretch and get the win, that's all that matters, because again, in this season, you have to win those tight games. You have to win those close games where you have that opportunity, and they did.
So let's run through it. So the Celtics were 2-5 in close games entering tonight's game. And so 5-2 in 4-2 in non-close games. They had a lot of lopsided wins that you felt good about. This looked like it was trending in that direction. But yeah, one of my curiosities with this younger-ish team, right, when you don't have Jason Tatum, when you're still kind of figuring out what your late game sets look like, is how they would respond in those moments. And through the early portion of the season, wasn't always great. Have struggled to draw up final plays and get good looks. Have struggled to get the ball in Jaylen Brown's hands. Other teams have had success. So, it was certainly something where they had to get better. But this is also something that young teams in transition go through. So, but I think that's what made the start of the Celtics season a little frustrating. You could see the potential of this group, and we all know it's going to be a little bit up and down with what they've got and who they've lost and who's not out there. And yet, the 1-point losses to Philly and the Utah game, not being able to get to the finish line of those wins really hurts. It hurts even more because you look up, and even though you've rode that roller coaster a little bit now to a 7-7 start, if you win a couple of those, you're probably tied with the Knicks for second in the East behind the Pistons, which is weird to say, but that's kind of what I thought would happen, where they would be good out of the gates. Now you got to stay healthy, and there's a lot that goes into staying good, but there's been a lot of stuff that had been masked by how poor they've been at the end of games. So it was refreshing that even as Harden is going nuclear, even as you're kind of just clinging for dear life, they found a way to get it done.
Yeah, and I don't know if they get this. I don't know if they win this game if this game was 2 nights ago. meaning having those few days off, I think really helped them kind of down the stretch here because they had played the 13 games in,
22 days.
Yeah, 22 days, 13 games in a month, essentially. And that's a grind. So to get those few days off before this one, I thought probably helped because there were, especially out of the gate, this team came out, the Celtics came out with what to me felt like a lot of energy. Like they looked fresher, and that kind of netted itself out. They scored 37 points in the first quarter. If it wasn't for the Clippers closing out that quarter on a bit of a run, which continues to be kind
End
of
of quarters.
Yeah, a negative theme there. Had it not been for that, it felt like the Celtics were kind of on their way to pulling away from a Clippers team that's just hasn't been good.
Well, let's blast through the positive. So Jaylen Brown, 33 points, plus 22 overall, 14 of 33.
13 rebounds.
13 rebounds, which you reminded me got upgraded. I thought the best number, I know his assist number wasn't huge. I'll be interested what the potential number was, but only one turnover.
Yeah.
Payton Pritchard spends more time as a ball handler. He goes for season-high 30 points, 10 of 16 shooting, 8 of 13. He was pulling up at all spots on the court. He had the best step-back three of the game on a game that James Harden was available. And it felt like he had a different confidence. We saw it the other night as well, but feels like finally maybe trending in the right direction, getting back to the Pritchard that we know. Also, hopefully, quieted down all those people who were like, maybe he should be coming off the bench still. Ridiculous. Derek White, who has been in as much of a funk as anybody with his shooting, he gets going as well. 14 points. He flirted with a triple-double, right? 9 rebounds.
7 assists.
7 assists.
9 assists.
9 assists, 7 rebounds. Yeah, you're right.
I don't think it's a coincidence that those two guys are shooting the ball better, and as a team, they shot 41% from three.
Right?
I mean, they start making threes, and obviously that's going to be the great equalizer, and that's going to pull that number right up where they were struggling at times early in the season. But to go 16 of 39, that's about. You shoot like that, you're going to be okay.
And Derek White, 22 points. I've got to learn how to read a box score on a podcast. I always look for numbers. I just see big numbers in my mind. I'm like, ooh, plus 20 on the court. That was more vintage Derek White. And in fact, the biggest play was probably he stuffed Harden in transition, and Jaylen Brown leaked out the other way, right? So, that was when Kate had the 3-time putback. And so just the little plays added up. I thought the starters were great. I do have to, in what is becoming a recurring segment, I was going to do my headline on Jordan Walsh and the fact that Scal will not give him any Tommy Award credit for how good he's been. I love Scal. I'm not here to slander him, but the spirit of the Tommy Award has typically been the sort of rare contributor or lesser contributor. We have a player of the game and we have a Tommy Award.
Yeah, more of a role player.
More of a guy who just did the dirty work, who guarded James Harden, held him to 5 points in the first half, who was everywhere, who really imagine if Jordan Walsh didn't make Harden work throughout that first half, and even in the second half when just all of a sudden.
It's a great point. He wore him down to the point where James Harden didn't have the legs to make that game
the last three. And so we're going to add a column that says Jordan Walsh probably deserved 3 Tommy Awards, but he has 0.
I actually couldn't believe it. I thought he had 1 in there. And I will say, Scal, I remember giving him a Tommy point for defending Maxey in that Philly game a couple of games ago because he's been so versatile and he's been defending the best player on the other side. He had 3 steals. Probably should have had. He had 1 dunk and then the other one he got blocked from behind. But
that was a good block, by the way. That was a hell of a chase down.
It was.
Whoever
Who was
punched
that?
It. Was it Jones Jr. before he got hurt?
It might have been.
Yeah.
It was a great play. But to your point, Jordan Walsh has been giving them some really good minutes and kind of fits in this rotation, it seems like, really well. So gets his second 2-0 when Jordan Walsh starts now. We
keep saying it, right? The whole thing is about consistency, and we're going to get into a little bit of that with my headline in a second, but it's been really refreshing. You could say, okay, Jordan Walsh got his opportunity, and that first game was Washington and whatever. Then they go down to Orlando, and he's guarding Banchero and Franz Wagner. Then they go to Philly, and he defends Maxey. Then they come home, and he's defending Jaren Jackson Jr. He has been thrown to the gauntlet of all shapes, sizes, styles of play, and he's held up against pretty much everybody. Now, guys are going to score. and James Harden certainly got going. I'm not sure anybody, like you could have had Defensive Players of the Year on the other side. Harden's going to make some shots. But Jordan Walsh has been really good, and he fits really well with that first group because he doesn't need a high volume of shots. In fact, I think they want him to be confident if he gets 3-point looks. Missed his only 3 tonight, but 2 of 5. He probably, like you said, probably could have got 3 for 5 if he makes that dunk. I think they don't have the success they've had in this little stretch and get back on track without the way Jordan Walsh has played. And Nemi sort of gets lost in the shuffle here too, especially when Luka Garza fouls out with 8 minutes to go. Nemi plays 33 and a half minutes and gives you 14 and 9. 3 offensive rebounds came on one possession. Well, 2 offensive rebounds came on one possession. But, was vital to getting you to this win. That the starters have been good even when Payton Pritchard and Derek White have been struggling with their shot. And tonight, 86.7% of the Celtics' offensive output, they were phenomenal.
The starters played, all 5 guys played at least 33 minutes. The starting group had 2 turnovers.
Wow.
2 turnovers from the starters. They had 4 turnovers from the bench, which, again, needs to be better. But if you want to focus on the positive side of that, just 2 turnovers for your starting 5 guys who played at least 33 minutes.
Really good night for the starters. All right. I'm not here to be negative after a loss, but I do think the talking point after a game like this, you do have to kind of look to, okay, why did they give up the lead? And the bench was not up to par tonight. So I'm not even going to frame it as like a headline. I guess it is a headline, but my question is, what can the Celtics do to get the bench activated? Because let's preface this. I just spent the last 3 days writing this little series where I kind of took a step back. One, I think in the big picture, the Celtics, when you look at net rating, they've been one of the top 11 teams in the NBA in net rating. And it hasn't reflected always in wins and losses because they've lost close games, but they've been really good. The bench and the depth on this team has been much better than I anticipated coming into the season, when I'm not sure I could have ever envisioned Jordan Walsh elevating to a starter, Nemi holding up as well as he has. And typically you've gotten some pretty good contributions from the bench. Like Simons has had his night scoring the ball. Garza's giving you energy. But I think what we saw tonight was a little bit of the fear where, so 5 different bench players played. Simons, Garza, Minot, Hauser, and Shireman.
Shireman played the most minutes of those 5.
And he was rewarded with, he was plus 12. He only had 3 points, but, a couple assists. I thought he impacted the game. One of the things he struggled with, I thought, to this point, 3-point shot has fallen, but he hasn't impacted the game in other ways. I thought tonight with the passing.
He won a challenge for them.
He did win a challenge. And you know what? That matters. Like, it turns out possessions matter. I think they scored after that, too. But even Garza, who played a fair amount as well, 13 points, 13 of the 16 bench points, but is minus 14 overall. I thought the Garza-Simons minutes early in the first, or midway through the first quarter when they started rolling in the bench lineup, just went badly. Like the defensive energy was not at the level it should have been, and I think Joe made a little bit of a point by Simon spent a lot of time on the bench there, and 2 turnovers as well. And I almost want to exclude Garza from it because this is what Garza is. He's going to play hard. He's going to give you some points. You're going to give up a little bit on the defensive end. But to have Simons, Minot, Hauser out there and be 0 for 7, including 0 for 6 from 3, is a little surprising.
It was the middle of the third quarter, really, were the minutes that I think you focus on that are kind of
sure.
It's a good sample to show what you're illustrating here. The Clippers went on a 15-2 run, right? Celtics were up by 24. Clippers go on a 15-2 run. There was 5 minutes of basketball where the only guy who scored for the Celtics was Luka Garza.
Wow.
He had 5 points in there, but that was it. So I will say, I think the net rating for him, the plus minus, I don't think that's real indicative of his game tonight. I thought he was pretty good.
He just happened to be out there twice on 2 pretty bad bench stretches.
Yeah, and
the fouling didn't help either. When he's out there and you're fouling, you put guys at the line, now you're chipping away at your own.
And once again, the Clippers, I think, and Eddie pointed this out on the post-game show, that one of the only reasons they were able to stay in this game was at the free throw line, where they were phenomenal at the free throw line. But Anthony Simons, I think, is a guy that's got to be getting you, double figures every night. He's got to be able to come in and give you that. Sam Hauser should be a guy that they can rely on to knock down 2 threes a night. So for those 2 guys,
And look,
both go over.
I'm just going to go back to it. Could be prisoner of the moment. The bench has been. I think Simons has scored in double figures in 10 of 13. But I do think, like, some of the good defensive stuff he had done at the start of the year, trying to be competitive, making sure he was in the right spots, he's drifted back to some bad tendencies where they're generating open looks because he's not in the right spots, or letting someone cut behind him. And so I just need him to be laser focused. And I think that's why you've seen, instances of his playing time dropping. And he probably hasn't experienced that in a while. Guy who's been a starter and has probably had on a Portland team that's been up and down. Like, you have a little bit of a leash, but here, like, Joe's going to demand, like, if you're going to be playing, you got to bring the energy. So the Celtics need a little bit more from him. Minot, who everybody knows I've been the chief lawnmower man. Like, I'm pushing that thing up and down the center of Boston, trying to pump his tires. I mean, this is a couple stretches now in a row where he's had a couple quiet games. Minus 13 in 11 minutes 29 seconds. He had the one rebound I remember because he skied up for it, and I was like, oh, okay, here we go. He's going to play with a little energy. The scouting report from Minnesota was that, when things were going good, it looked good, but that when, things go with a little awry, that he maybe struggled to have the same impact, and that's what, maybe lost him some confidence up there.
Yep.
Having a vehicle you can rely on, that's important. That's why you can rely on 24 Auto Group. They will treat you like family. And that's because they are family owned and operated. They're honest, easy to work with, and they just get it. Whether you're looking for something sporty, something luxurious, or just a solid everyday ride, 24 Auto Group always comes through. With 9 brands and 11 locations across New England, there's something for everyone. And here's the best part. They've got the knack to save you more on a new or pre-owned vehicle, and the knack to pay you more for your trade, up to $2,400 over book value. You can even drive home with just $24 down. So if you want the best deal without the runaround, go see my guys at 24 Auto Group, because you always get more at 24. Online at 24autogroup.com. I feel like it's going to be hard going from, all this hype and being a starter to now coming off the bench, but, like, what do they need to do to get him going?
I honestly don't know. I mean, maybe you draw something up for him or try to get him out in transition. It's hard, though, to get him out in transition if he's the guy that you're really relying on to rebound the ball when he's on the floor, because he is such a good rebounder. But something like that would probably go a long way, because we've seen what he can do in transition. He's so athletic.
And not to I keep cutting you off, but, like, it does feel, and because you get my mind rumbling here, some of what got him easy points was being out in transition, throwing lobs.
Yeah.
Lob mower.
Yeah.
So if you're not getting stops and you're not getting rebounds and you're not getting in transition, exponentially more difficult to get.
Ironically, they got out in transition tonight. They had 22 fast break points. It's the most they've had all season. I will say, as we go through the bench, I'm kind of surprised that no Hugo Gonzalez in this game. So he's feels like he has been consistent in the energy,
100%,
and the intangibles that he's brought to the floor. So, anytime he doesn't play, it's like immediately my antenna goes up, and because whatever, he tweaked his ankle a couple games ago. But, I would think he's totally fine after a few days off.
That's right. From coming off of 3 days, like 19-year-old kids, they usually bounce right back, ready to go. I'm a little surprised. Usually I try to, like, the before game, I go, okay, what do I think Joe will lean here? And sometimes when a team has size, you can say, okay, maybe this is a Boucher night, or maybe this is, they need some versatility. Then maybe this is a Tillman night. And those guys have obviously not played a whole lot this year. I thought tonight was an Hugo night, because I thought with Harden out there, you just want to throw as many bodies, try to pester him as much as possible. More full court pickup. Maybe that was a misstep by Joe in not maybe trying some Hugo minutes there. Would it have changed anything? It's James Harden, right? Like, he might have just gone off it no matter what. But when the bench is struggling, I would like to see just like, might as well get a look at Hugo here and give him some minutes and see what he can do. And I think I don't need him to play a ton of minutes in Boston, but I do want to see, like, consistently, if you can just find a pocket, 6-10 minutes, whatever it is. And if he's got it going, maybe ride that a little bit more.
To be fair, though, the bench didn't play that much in this game.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the minutes, Jordan Walsh playing 33 minutes, starting and playing 33 minutes is the biggest change from where they were a few games ago. where if Jordan Walsh is getting 33 minutes, that before he was, going from DNPs to playing a handful of minutes, so that's been the biggest change, and that's going to take away from somebody else. But Jordan Walsh has earned those minutes.
All right, I danced around it enough. Sam Hauser.
What's going on?
6 minutes, 45 seconds. Missed all 3 shots he took, all threes. Minus 16, 0 points. So I think the number when I was doing the thing was 6 or 7 straight games now where he's had 1 3-pointer or less. He did pop up on the injury report a couple games ago, sprained wrist. Certainly when you're a shooter, a sprained wrist is not ideal. I can't help but wonder if that's conspiring, and especially when you see the minute total. But he's had clean looks. I vividly remember that when the bench first starts coming in, I'm like, oh, that's a pretty good look for Sam Hauser. So as Derek and Payton get activated, it's a little surprising to see Sam struggling. So we talk about like how Minot's gone from starting, like Sam got first crack at that. With the start of the year was the starter with that core group, and he's going through it right now, and I just wonder. Again, he's not doing media usually because only the top few guys are doing it after these wins. But I wonder how he's feeling.
Yeah.
If we get a practice in here at some point, although I guess they had some this week and I wasn't around. Maybe we'll find out a little bit more about if is it just a funk? Again, none of these guys seem like confidence losers. They miss shots and they're like, all right, the next one's going in. But I wonder if he's in his head a little bit.
It's possible. I guess big picture, this feels like one of those games as we talk our way through it. I come back full circle on this game. You need contributions from so many guys in order to win games, it feels like, with this Celtics team. And the fact that they didn't get really those contributions from the bench, outside of Garza, tells you how well the starters played. It tells you how much they had to lean on, Pritchard, White, and Jaylen Brown to do what they did. And if they can do that and again, like the word I use is survive. Like they survived this game against the Clippers. They get the win. They survived a game in which they didn't get any scoring from Anthony Simons and Sam Hauser. You don't want to have to live that way, but if you're able to survive and buy those guys another day so that it's going to happen eventually, right?
I would think so. Again, I think the bench has been really encouraging. It just feels like tonight was sort of exemplified or more accentuated where, man, there are some nights where it puts a lot of stress on that starting group to be really good. And I guess in my mind when you're talking it through it, I'm like, what matters most? Do we just care that they get wins?
I mean, I kind of.
I mean, sometimes it's that simple, right?
But I think that's sort of that's sort of where they are right now, just finding ways to get wins, and. The Clippers might have a bad record. They're 4-9. I don't think they're that bad of a team, and they didn't play like that bad of a team tonight.
Yeah.
I thought that they showed something in the fact that they fought back. Again, they're down 24, and that's a team that after playing a double overtime game on Friday night could have just said, "Well, that's it. We're down 24. It's going to take way too much energy to try to make a comeback here." So
and their bench is better than you think. I mean, like Bogdanovich, Lopez, Batum. There's some good players on that bench. If they were healthy, Chris Paul's out of the rotation.
Yeah,
I don't care about the Clippers.
Yeah,
but Celtics.
So I think that Sam Hauser will eventually come along.
Same.
And if the wrist is bothering him, then hopefully they can kind of lean on some other guys to get him through that and buy him a little bit of time.
And I guess if I'm going to bring this full circle, I'll say this. While Payton and Derek White were going through it, the bench sometimes lifted this team up and gave them a little something to as they weathered it. So on nights like this, as I talk myself down, maybe you just need your starters to be great and give the bench, hey, let's see if it's one night. I think we can everybody on that bench can give a little bit more in a certain way, but the starters were great.
They were great, and they got the win. Chris, they got the win. They're back to 7-7. And they survived a wide open look from James Harden, who hadn't missed, it felt like, in 2 hours.
What you want to if people think this podcast was had a pocket of negativity because I'm giving it to the bench, I wonder what it would have been like if they got to overtime after having a 24-point lead.
Well, yes, and again, that's why I'm just so set on the fact that they survived and won. It is the flip side of that. is a totally different conversation with a totally different tone.
Survive in advance. That's all that matters. Payton Pritchard, 8 of 13 beyond the 3-point arc. We talked about him earlier. We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna get ready for Tuesday night against the Brooklyn Nets. We're gonna leave you with a little Payton Pritchard sound talking about how he got himself going tonight. We'll catch you next time on the Celtics Talk podcast.
See ya.
Encouraging you guys were able to get the clutch win.
For sure. Take every win in the NBA. Get back to 500, and, now we can start climbing out of the hole we put ourselves into.
Payton, Jaylen mentioned that they were able to gain some momentum because you guys missed some shots that maybe you usually make, and they ran in transition there in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Outside of just making the shots, are there any ways you guys can prevent those buckets?
I mean, it's hard to just, certain shots, maybe finishing in the paint a little bit, but, I think we put them to the free throw line, which then slows the pace down, and then they can have their, set defense, stuff like that. So I think controlling some of those. And then we all just, I did a poor job of rebounding today. I could have definitely got a couple more that I got my hands on. So just, little things like that can eliminate runs.
And then Joe mentioned they went to a three-point shooting lineup a little bit that spaced you guys out, eliminated some double teams. Was there anything you noticed there that, you guys could have done better a little bit to get in the rotation?
I mean, we had a game plan, and they switched it up. And, you tip your cat to Harden. He started hitting some tough shots and stuff like that. So, and today we got the win, and that's all that matters.
It looked like you might have tweaked your ankle toward the end.
He got me good. It's the first time I've gotten got like that, and I don't know when. So it was a heck of a move. I'll be fine. My ankle will be fine. But he definitely made me touch earth for a second. So.
And Jason's on the sideline during the games. Does he point things out to you during the game? Is he talking a lot?
No, he talks. But JT's quiet, but he has a great mind for the game. So I'll occasionally go ask him questions and stuff, just seeing what he sees. It's always great to have a teammate like that.
Okay, what did you see from Jordan Walsh tonight in his job on James Harden?
I think he's been doing a heck of a job defending, and we need that. So he brings the energy, guarding the best defender every night, and I think that's his calling card, and he needs to continue it because he has great potential in that area. And as his offensive game grows, but his defensive game will, that's what will keep him on the court.
You've hesitated to say that you've been really happy with any of your offensive games. I think I've asked you about this year. Did you feel like tonight you put together a full offensive game or not yet?
How many assists I had? 2?
2.
Not yet. Not yet then. Good shooting, 3-point shooting.
Did anything feel different with your shot, or is it just
a little bit actually. I think at the beginning of the year I was I feel I consider myself a good shooter, and you're always searching to how to be better at shooting, right? And sometimes I can overcomplicate my form and trying to overcorrect everything. And then I got in the habit of doing that the first 10 games of overthinking every step, how I want my form to look perfectly. Now I've kind of the last 2 games I've kind of just said F it, I'm gonna just shoot it. One motion, just let it fly, and just don't worry about the form. All the work should carry it. So that's kind of been my mindset, and should continue with that.
With you and Derek hitting shots, do you feel defense is changing towards you?
Not because I've always felt like they kind of guarded us the same way, but I think us hitting shots, though, definitely puts a lot more pressure on them, but also takes pressure off our defense on how to get stops because, teams, when we're hitting the threes at that rate and hitting tough ones like that, it's tough for teams.